A dispute over a single set of public remarks has introduced friction into one of the most tightly coordinated intelligence relationships in East Asia. But the full implications are still unfolding. Lee Jae-myung has rejected claims that Chung Dong-young disclosed classified United States intelligence about North Korea's nuclear program, calling the allegations unfounded. The controversy centers on comments about a uranium enrichment facility in Kusong, a location long associated with nuclear development. What this video examines is how a domestic political dispute intersects with alliance management, and what changes if trust between intelligence partners is affected. At a structural level, the issue concerns information control within an alliance built on shared intelligence. If the controversy escalates and leads to sustained limits on intelligence sharing, operational coordination could become less efficient, particularly in monitoring missile and nuclear activity. If it is resolved quickly, the episode may remain a short-term political dispute without lasting impact. Either outcome influences how transparency and secrecy are balanced in democratic systems that depend on classified cooperation. The background lies in the long-standing security partnership between South Korea and the United States. Since the Korean War, the alliance has relied on integrated military planning and intelligence exchange to monitor developments in North Korea. This includes satellite surveillance, signals intelligence, and real-time tracking of missile launches. The system is designed to provide early warning and coordinated responses, making the accuracy and confidentiality of shared data critical to its effectiveness. North Korea's nuclear program has been a central focus of this cooperation. Over the past 2 decades, Pyongyang has expanded its capabilities, conducting multiple nuclear tests and developing ballistic missile systems with increasing range. Facilities such as the one in Kusong have been analyzed through both classified intelligence and open source research, including satellite imagery and academic studies. This overlap between classified and public information creates a complex environment where distinguishing sources becomes politically sensitive. The current controversy began when Chung Dong-young referenced the Kusong facility in public remarks. Opposition figures argued that the level of detail suggested reliance on classified information, potentially exposing intelligence shared by the United States. Chung and President Lee have countered that the information was already available through publicly accessible research and media reporting, emphasizing that no confidential data was disclosed. This disagreement reflects differing interpretations of what constitutes sensitive information in a highly scrutinized domain. Recent developments indicate that the issue has moved beyond domestic debate. Reports suggest that Washington has adjusted aspects of intelligence sharing, particularly limiting some satellite-based surveillance data provided to Seoul. At the same time, both countries continue to coordinate on immediate operational needs, including tracking North Korea's recent ballistic missile tests. This partial adjustment suggests a calibrated response rather than a complete breakdown in cooperation. The power dynamics involve multiple actors with overlapping interests. The South Korean government seeks to maintain alliance credibility while addressing domestic political criticism. Opposition groups aim to challenge the administration's handling of national security and its management of relations with the United States. The US government must balance protecting intelligence sources with sustaining a strategic partnership that remains central to regional stability. Each actor operates within constraints shaped by political accountability and security priorities. Tensions arise from the dual requirements of transparency and confidentiality. Democratic governments face pressure to explain policy decisions and security assessments to the public. But intelligence partnerships depend on restricting access to sensitive information. When officials reference data that exists in both classified and open domains, the boundary between disclosure and interpretation becomes contested. This case illustrates how that boundary can become a focal point for political disagreement. Consider the first scenario. If the controversy leads to a sustained reduction in intelligence sharing, even in specific areas such as satellite data, operational coordination could become less precise. This would not eliminate cooperation, but it could slow information flows and complicate joint analysis. In a context where North Korea continues to develop missile capabilities, even incremental delays in data exchange could affect response planning and strategic assessments. Now consider a second scenario. If investigations confirm that no classified information was disclosed and both governments reaffirm their protocols, intelligence sharing could return to previous levels. In that case, the episode would function as a stress test, prompting adjustments in how information is communicated publicly without altering the underlying structure of the alliance. This outcome would reinforce existing mechanisms while clarifying boundaries for future disclosures. The geopolitical implications extend across the Korean Peninsula and the broader region. The alliance between South Korea and the United States is a key component of deterrence in Northeast Asia. Any perceived weakening of coordination may be closely observed by neighboring states, including North Korea, which could interpret changes in intelligence sharing as an opportunity to test response capabilities. Conversely, a reaffirmation of cooperation would signal continuity in deterrence posture. Another dimension involves signaling to domestic and international audiences. For South Korea, managing the controversy affects public confidence in national security institutions. For the United States, decisions about intelligence sharing reflect broader policies on protecting sources while maintaining alliances. The interaction between these considerations shapes how both governments respond to similar situations in the future. What makes this moment notable is the convergence of political scrutiny and operational necessity. The alliance depends on seamless information exchange, yet it operates within systems where public accountability can bring internal processes into debate. The outcome will depend on how effectively both sides manage this balance, without compromising either transparency or security. The key indicators to watch include the results of any internal review initiated by President Lee, further statements from US authorities regarding intelligence protocols, and the level of coordination observed during future North Korean missile tests. These factors will provide insight into whether the controversy has lasting effects or remains contained. In the end, this situation reflects a broader challenge faced by modern alliances. Information is both a strategic asset and a political issue, and managing it requires constant calibration. Whether this episode leads to adjustment or continuity, it underscores how even limited disputes can carry wider implications in a security environment defined by rapid technological and geopolitical change.